The rain pattered softly against the metal roof of the research station as Sarah Chen peered through her microscope. Another late night in the Amazon, studying plant samples that might revolutionize modern medicine. At 32, she had already made a name for herself in xenobiology, though tonight's samples looked disappointingly ordinary. A flash of blue light through the window caught her attention. Sarah frowned, setting down her equipment. Lightning wasn't supposed to be blue, and the forecast hadn't mentioned any storms. She grabbed her raincoat and emergency kit, stepping out into the humid night. The light pulsed again, deeper in the jungle. As a scientist, her curiosity won over caution. 20 minutes of careful hiking led her to a small clearing. There, half buried in mud, lay something that made her heart skip a beat. A metallic object, clearly not from Earth, with strange symbols glowing faintly along its surface. "Hello," Sarah called out, her voice barely a whisper. A soft moan answered her. Behind the object, partially hidden by ferns, lay a figure. Sarah's training kicked in, and she rushed forward, medical kit ready. The being looked almost human, but not quite. Its skin had a silvery sheen, and delicate patterns swirled across its face, like moving tattoos. It was clearly female, with long hair that seemed to shift colors in the darkness. "Hold still," Sarah said, checking for injuries. The alien woman had a deep gash across her side, oozing a strange bluish liquid. The alien's eyes fluttered open, revealing pupils that looked like swirling galaxies. "You? Help." She spoke in broken English, her voice musical and strange. "Yes," Sarah replied, applying pressure to the wound. "I'm here to help. I'm Sarah." "Vix," the alien whispered, touching Sarah's hand. Instantly, a warm sensation flooded Sarah's mind. Images, feelings, and fragments of thoughts not her own. Touch telepathy, Sarah realized with amazement. She saw flashes of a distant world, of a dying civilization seeking hope among the stars. She felt Vix's pain, fear, and growing wonder at finding help on this strange planet. The moment broke as voices echoed through the jungle. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. The security team must have noticed the strange lights too. Vix's grip tightened on Sarah's arm. "Please," she whispered, fear evident in her swirling eyes. "They must not find me." Sarah made a split-second decision that would change her life forever. She helped Vix to her feet, supporting her weight. "This way," she whispered, leading them away from the approaching lights. "I know somewhere safe." As they disappeared into the darkness, Sarah knew she had just stepped into something much bigger than herself. Behind them, the strange craft shimmered and vanished, leaving only muddy footprints as evidence of this extraordinary encounter. Little did Sarah know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything she thought she knew about life, love, and humanity's place in the universe. Sarah's small research cabin creaked in the night wind as she cleaned Vix's wound. The alien woman sat perfectly still, her galaxy-like eyes fixed on the human's movements with fascination. "Your medicine." "Primitive," Vix said softly, reaching for a small device attached to her belt. "Let me show." The device hummed to life, projecting a holographic display of complex symbols. Sarah watched in amazement as Vix manipulated the controls with practiced ease. A soft blue light emerged, scanning the injury. "This technology," Sarah breathed, her scientific mind racing with questions. "How does it work?" Instead of answering with words, Vix gently pressed her silvery hand against Sarah's temple. The touch telepathic connection loomed instantly, flooding Sarah's mind with understanding. She saw vast medical chambers, healing pods that could repair any injury, and the complex molecular science behind it all. "Your species," Sarah gasped as the connection faded. "You're so advanced. Why come to Earth?" Vix's swirling patterns darkened with what seemed like sadness. "My people, dying. Each generation, fewer children. Those born, weaker. We search galaxy for solution." A loud knock at the door made them both freeze. "Dr. Chen," a stern voice called out. "This is Agent Martinez, Department of Homeland Security. We need to speak with you about the unusual atmospheric readings in your area." Sarah's heart raced. She looked at Vix, whose patterns had shifted to a pale, frightened shade. Through their lingering telepathic connection, she felt waves of panic and memories of other worlds where Vix's people had been captured, experimented on. "Back door," Sarah whispered, grabbing her emergency pack. "We need to go. Now." They slipped out just as the front door burst open. Running into the jungle, Sarah heard shouts and the beam of flashlights cutting through the darkness behind them. "Trust me," Vix asked as they ran, pulling out another device. Sarah nodded without hesitation. Vix pressed a button, and a shimmer of energy enveloped them both. To their pursuers, they would appear as nothing more than heat distortions in the humid air. As they made their way through the rainforest, Vix shared more through their touch connection. Sarah saw glimpses of a civilization in crisis, of a desperate search across the stars, and of something special they had discovered in human DNA, something that might save Vix's entire species. But there was something else, something Vix was holding back. Sarah could feel it at the edges of their connection, a darker truth waiting to be revealed. Dawn was breaking as they reached the coast. Behind them, sirens wailed in the distance. Ahead, their journey was just beginning. And with it, a choice that would test the bounds of trust between two very different worlds. The helicopter blades chopped through the morning air as Sarah and Vix crouched in an abandoned warehouse at the port of Santos. 3 days of running had left them exhausted, but the government forces showed no signs of giving up. "They're getting closer," Sarah whispered, watching another military vehicle pass by. The warehouse walls couldn't hide the growing number of armed personnel surrounding them. Vix's patterns swirled with anxiety as she worked on a small communication device. "My ship, coming. Need time." Her silvery hands trembled slightly, betraying her weakening condition. Through their touch telepathic connection, Sarah felt something was wrong. "Vix, you're hiding something. What aren't you telling me?" Before Vix could answer, the warehouse doors burst open. A team of agents in black tactical gear stormed in, weapons raised. "Freeze. Hands where we can see them." Vix activated her cloaking device, but it flickered and failed. Her patterns turned a sickly pale color. "Too weak. System failing." Sarah stepped in front of Vix protectively. "Wait, she's not a threat." Agent Martinez stepped forward, lowering his weapon slightly. "Dr. Chen, step aside. That creature is part of an advance force. We've detected more of them approaching Earth's orbit." "No," Sarah started, but Vix's touch on her arm sent a flood of images that made her blood run cold. Massive ships hiding behind Jupiter. Laboratories filled with specimens from countless worlds. The terrible truth of why her people were really dying. "Your DNA," Vix whispered, her galaxy eyes filling with tears. "Humans, special, adaptive, strong. My leaders want harvest." The agents tensed, but Sarah held up her hand. Let her finish. Through their connection, Sarah saw the full story. Vix's species had evolved too far, engineered themselves too perfectly. They'd lost the ability to adapt, to change, to survive. Human DNA contained something they desperately needed, not just genetic material, but the very essence of survival against odds. "I came to study," Vix explained, her patterns showing shame. "But found more. Found humanity's spirit. Cannot let them harvest you." Suddenly, a blinding light filled the warehouse. A ship had appeared above, its hull gleaming like liquid metal. But instead of hope, Vix's patterns showed terror. "No," she gasped, "not rescue. Hunters." As the light intensified, Sarah realized they faced a choice that would affect both their species. The agents raised their weapons, Vix's people prepared to take what they wanted, and somewhere in between stood two beings from different worlds, connected by something stronger than genetics: understanding. The real fight for survival was about to begin. The alien ship's beam pulled them upward, through layers of shimmering energy. Sarah felt her stomach lurch as gravity shifted. When her vision cleared, they stood in a vast chamber that seemed alive, walls pulsing with bioorganic light, floor moving like liquid metal. 3 tall figures approached, their patterns more rigid and geometric than Vix's. The leaders of her species, Sarah realized through their lingering telepathic connection. Vix, the central figure, spoke in a melodious but cold voice. "You have done well, bringing us a prime specimen." Sarah's heart stopped. She turned to Vix, whose patterns had gone completely still. "Specimen." Vix reached for her, but Sarah stepped back. The leader continued, "Humans possess what we need. Their genetic adaptability, their emotional capacity. It will save our species." Through the telepathic field that filled the ship, Sarah felt their clinical interest in her, like scientists examining a particularly interesting lab rat. "You used me," Sarah whispered, the betrayal burning in her chest. "All of it. The connection, the trust, the running together. It was just to study me." Vix's pattern swirled in distress. "No." At first, yes, but then. "Enough," the leader interrupted. "Take the human to processing. Our genetic extraction will begin shortly." But as guards moved forward, Vix stepped between them and Sarah. "No," she said firmly, her patterns blazing with determination. "Humans are not specimens. They are more. Sarah showed me." The leader waved a hand, and Vix crumpled to the floor, her patterns dimming. "You have grown too attached, too emotional. Like them, you will be purified." Sarah saw her chance. The emergency beacon she grabbed from her research station was still in her pocket. As the guards reached for her, she activated it, praying the signal would reach through the ship's hull. The ship's alarms blared. "Earth vessels approaching," a voice announced. In the chaos that followed, Sarah made her choice. She ran, not toward the human rescue ships, but toward the escape pods she glimpsed in Vix's memories. Behind her, she heard Vix cry out, a sound of pure anguish that would haunt her dreams. "Why did you leave me, human?" The words echoed in her mind as the escape pod launched, carrying her back to Earth. What Sarah didn't know was that her departure would set in motion events that would change both species forever. Sometimes, the greatest acts of love require walking away. 2 years had passed since Sarah's escape. She sat in her small apartment in Geneva, now working for the United Earth Defense Initiative, using her knowledge of alien biology to help protect Earth. The nightmares of that day still haunted her. The betrayal, Vix's cry, and the crushing weight of her decision. A knock at her door broke through her thoughts. Strange. She wasn't expecting anyone at midnight. When she opened the door, her world stopped. There stood Vix, her patterns barely glowing, looking exhausted and changed. Gone was the ethereal beauty of her kind, replaced by something more human. "Sarah," Vix whispered, her galaxy eyes dimmed. "They come." Sarah pulled her inside quickly, checking the hallway before locking the door. "How did you find me? Why are you here?" "Followed our connection. Never broke." Vix's patterns rippled weakly. 2 years in isolation chamber. Punishment for helping you. But learned truth. Must warn Earth. Through their renewed touch telepathic connection, Sarah saw terrifying images. A massive invasion fleet. Thousands of ships, all heading toward Earth. But something else flowed through their connection. Vix's feelings during their separation, her growing understanding of humanity's worth, her rebellion against her own people. "My leaders." Wrong. Vix continued, her patterns strengthening slightly, trying to steal what must be earned. Human emotion, adaptation, cannot be taken, must be learned. Sarah's defense communicator buzzed. Multiple unknown objects had just entered the solar system. "They're here," Vix said, her patterns showing fear. "But different now. I changed. Living among humans, feeling emotions, learning to adapt. It started healing me. Natural evolution, not forced." Sarah studied her former friend, seeing the truth. Vix's patterns were more organic now, less geometric, She had grown, changed, become something new. Proof that her species could adapt naturally if given the chance. "Help me save both our peoples," Vix pleaded. "Trust again." Outside, sirens began to wail. The invasion had begun. Sarah looked at Vix and made another choice, this time with eyes wide open. "Show me everything," she said, taking Vix's hand. The connection bloomed between them, stronger than before, filled with 2 years of growth, understanding, and possibility. Together, they might find a way to save everyone, if there was still time. Above Earth, the first ships began to appear. The United Earth Defense Initiative headquarters buzzed with frantic activity. Sarah and Vix stood before the Emergency Council, holographic displays showing the approaching alien fleet. "Their weakness is emotion," Vix explained, her patterns pulsing with urgency. "My people fear it, cannot control it. But emotions make humans strong." Sarah stepped forward, addressing the council. "We've discovered something remarkable. Human brainwaves, especially during strong emotional states, disrupt their control systems. Our feelings literally scramble their technology." Satellite feeds showed the first wave of ships entering Earth's atmosphere. Unlike traditional weapons, these vessels carried genetic harvesters, massive machines designed to extract human DNA en masse. Through their telepathic link, Vix shared the fleet's weaknesses. Ships controlled by logic engines. No emotion, no chaos, no adaptation. Perfect order, their greatest flaw. The Council's decision was unanimous. Earth's defense strategy would be unprecedented. A coordinated emotional broadcast. Every human population center would project concentrated brainwave patterns, amplified by technology Vix helped design. "But there's a cost," Sarah warned, gripping Vix's hand. "This level of emotional energy could harm any of Vix's people who've not adapted like she has." Vix's pattern swirled with determination. "Save your people, Sarah. Worth the risk." The first tests began. Cities worldwide installed emotional amplifiers, converting human brainwaves into targeted energy fields. The results were immediate. Alien ships wavered, their perfect formations breaking apart. But the invaders adapted quickly. The second wave approached, shields modified. "Not enough," Vix said, her patterns dimming. "Need stronger emotion. Need love." Sarah understood. Love, the most powerful, chaotic, and transformative emotion. Through their connection, she felt Vix's own growing capacity for it, proof that change was possible. The Council gave the order. Across Earth, humans were asked to focus on love. For family, friends, home, even their enemies. The emotional tsunami built as the alien fleet descended. The battle for Earth would not be won with weapons, but with the very thing Vix's people had engineered away. The chaotic, beautiful strength of human feelings. As the final confrontation approached, Sarah and Vix stood together, their joined hands symbolizing hope for both their species. Sometimes the greatest resistance comes not from fighting, but from feeling. The sky burned red as the alien fleet descended. Earth's emotional defense system had disrupted most ships, but the largest vessel, the command carrier, pushed through, its modified shields holding strong. Inside UEDI headquarters, alarms blared. "The amplifiers aren't enough," Sarah shouted over the chaos. "Their flagship's adapting too quickly." Vix's patterns flashed with sudden understanding. "Know how to stop them. Must connect my consciousness to defense grid. Channel emotion directly." "That would kill you," Sarah protested, feeling Vix's certainty through their link. The energy surge. "Already dying," Vix revealed, her patterns flickering. "My change, becoming more human, burns out original form. Worth it to save both peoples." Before Sarah could stop her, Vix pressed her hands to the amplifier's control panel. Her consciousness merged with Earth's defense network, creating a bridge between two species. Through their connection, Sarah felt everything. Vix's love for her, for humanity, for life itself, pure and overwhelming. The emotion surged through the grid, amplified by billions of human minds. The command carrier's shields buckled. Inside, the alien leaders felt something they'd engineered away centuries ago. Raw, unfiltered feeling. Their perfect order shattered. But Vix was fading. Her patterns, once brilliant, grew dim. "Thank you," she projected into Sarah's mind, "for teaching me to feel." "No." Sarah tried to pull her away, but Vix held firm. The defense grid peaked. A wave of pure emotional energy swept Earth's skies. The alien fleet, unable to process the chaos of feeling, retreated in disarray. Only the command carrier remained, falling from the sky like a dying star. When the light faded, Vix collapsed. Her patterns had gone dark, her silver skin cold. Sarah cradled her, tears falling on the alien's still form. But sometimes, in the space between life and death, love creates its own miracles. Through their bond, one last spark remained. A month after the invasion, Sarah stood in a new facility built from the remains of the command carrier. Vix lay in a healing chamber, her patterns slowly regaining their glow, but different now, shifting with human-like emotion. Her DNA is rewriting itself, Dr. Martinez explained, studying the readings. The emotional surge triggered an evolutionary response we've never seen before. She's becoming a bridge between our species. Sarah placed her hand against the chamber surface. Through their weakened but healing bond, she felt Vix's consciousness stirring. The alien woman's patterns rippled in response, forming shapes that looked almost like a smile. "My leaders were wrong," Vix's thoughts whispered in Sarah's mind. "Evolution comes from connection, not collection. From love, not force." The chamber opened with a soft hiss. Vix stepped out, her appearance a beautiful blend of both species, silvery skin with flowing patterns, but now with more human expressions and movements. Her galaxy eyes held warmth that her kind had lost centuries ago. "The survivors of my people," Vix said, stronger now. They felt what happened. The emotion wave changed them too. They want to learn, to feel, to grow naturally. Sarah watched as Vix walked to the window overlooking the facility's garden, where other survivors of her species worked alongside humans. Their patterns all showed signs of change, of adaptation through choice rather than force. "You asked why I left you," Sarah said softly, "but I never really did. Our connection remained, grew stronger. It saved both our worlds." Vix turned, her patterns glowing with joy. An emotion her people had once considered a flaw now recognized as their salvation. Not just saved, transformed. Two species, learning from each other, growing together. In the years that followed, Earth became a beacon of hope in the galaxy, a place where emotion and logic, chaos and order, found balance, where love between two different beings sparked an evolution that neither species could have achieved alone. Sarah and Vix stood at the heart of this new era, their story a testament to the power of connection across the stars. Sometimes, the greatest journeys begin with a simple question and end with an answer more beautiful than anyone could have imagined.